Hey, what's going on there, people of the fog? So, I just got done watching the developer stream. I'm a little bit late because I had to work for the man and make a penny on the dollar. So, a lot of juicy, good information in terms of player to server, or vice versa, server to player, latency, hit detection, hitboxes, that kind of stuff. And I think they did a pretty good job. Just pulled a Matthew Cote there. I think they did a pretty good job explaining in full detail why players feel the way that they do with the dedicated servers like myself. And they kind of made me see it through another new light because for a while I've been shit talking a lot on the dedicated servers because ever since we got them, I feel like there's a bigger latency issue more than ever. In terms of like Survivor vaulting through a window, I seem to always clear the window, but at the same time it looks like I didn't, and from the killer's perspective, I always get hit. I always knew that it was a latency related issue, but I always knew from, in my opinion, I always think that it's actually from the dedicated servers that we got, because I didn't experience this issue until basically dedicated servers became a live thing, and for the longest time I used to shit talk them because of that very same reason. So they kind of put it into a perspective of why it is the way that you get hit, and basically calculations from your information from your computer going to the server, and then that server interpreting that information and then sending it back to your machine. It's very interesting. So they talk about the difference between latency and ping basically is the information that gets sent back from the server back to your machine. So they talked about basically, because people were talking about fix your hitboxes. Again, it's not the hitboxes that are the problem. They basically elaborated and mentioned that it's basically the latency issues that you're experiencing. I have really good internet. I don't have like NASA internet, mind you, but I know I have for a damn fact that I have pretty decent internet. And so I don't think it's a latency issue on my side, and so I tend to think that the latency issues that are happening are on the dedicated server side. Again, I never used to have these issues until dedicated servers became a thing. I was completely fine with peer-to-peer killer versus survivor, where the killer had to be the host. Not all the time I would get really shitty connection with the host because, the problem with peer-to-peer is that if the killer is the host, which he would be, the killer's connection would then be your connection, essentially. So if you have a killer with a shitty connection, then you are going to be lagging all over the fucking map. But I rarely ever ran into a lot of killers that had really shitty ping. So I was kind of fine with peer-to-peer, but I understand why they did the dedicated server swap, because obviously they can't track information like disconnects and things like that. So I understand why they did the move to dedicated servers. I just don't really personally like the dedicated servers that they have, because I feel like they could be improved a little bit more, either through game mechanic techniques or any type of way that they can figure out how to make. My only biggest concern, again, is survivors vaulting through windows, and you cleared it, but on the killer side they're a lot closer than what you see on your end. Again, this is going back to the latency issue, and I want them to kind of fix this problem, because I know for a fact it's not my internet, and it has to be something to do with the servers that they're using. And apparently they're using one of the kind of few best servers that they can get or some shit like that, but I still feel like they could be improved on. There's something going on there where I just don't I always get hit through a window and I'm kind of cleared from it. But yeah, they talked about the capsule hitboxes, and then again, like we were saying, the latency problems that we were having, that I mentioned through Windows. And then somebody asked a question in the comment section of their forums that they went over when they did their Q&A here. Basically, somebody had asked about capsule collision. So capsule collision, why is it that you guys use an actual capsule as a collision and not just individual collision for survivors? As much as I know, going off of my VR chat avatar type stuff, this goes hand in hand, and they're completely right. If they basically took the survivor or killer mesh and created a full on collision based off of their geometry, their certain geometry, it would be way too taxing on your system to be able to process every single vertice on that mesh as a collider and then that information having to be processed by your processor. It would just be not ideal, and so I see why the reason why they basically went with capsule colliders, because it's just one geometric. You can kind of consider it like a mesh, like a hidden mesh, and it's just one full-on, like probably like no more than a 6 or 7 vertice type mesh, and it's not very taxing at all for the processor to process that information. When we talk about VR chat, and how I know this information is because in VR chat they don't like you using the mesh as a collider, and they want you to preferably use like a box collider or a same thing, capsule collider. And if you try to use, again, if you try to use every single vertice as an individual collider, it is just way too damn taxing for the processor to process that information. So yeah, overall, I think they did a pretty damn good job explaining the whole hitbox issues and the latency issues that a lot of people like myself experience. Again, I hope that they can improve on it a little bit better, because it really pisses me off when I cleared a window and yet I still get hit by them even though I'm like miles away from it. I feel like that's like really annoying a lot of the times. Oftentimes I just gotta trust my gut too. If I feel like the killer is just still too close to me before I vault a window, that I need to just trust my gut instinct and do something entirely different instead, rather than going through the window, because 9 times out of 10 I'm going to still get hit through it. But then again, I don't really play Survivor much. I actually play Killer a lot more often than Survivor. But yeah, at the end of their little dev stream there, they had a little demonstration of the Trapper being able to reset traps without having to pick them up. Now that is a cool little feature that I think we should have always had in the beginning. This saves a hell of a lot more time for Trapper, and I think it will probably give him a slight tiny little buff in terms of time management and things like that. However, when it doesn't really matter, because if a survivor knows that you've placed a trap there, they're just going to keep camping that trap and keep deactivating it. So I feel like if you are like myself and run small game, a lot of the Trapper's traps are pretty damn pointless, and you know, the Trapper is all solemnly based on his traps for the most part. If he's not trapping people and if he's not taking advantage of that power he has, then 9 times out of 10 on high ranks you're not going to do too good on Trapper. Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. Anyways, so that is the developer stream for today. Again, I think they did a pretty good job. I want to hear what your guys' questions and comments are. Too bad we didn't get any more further information on the new killer coming out. Oh, and that's to tell you guys, so PTB will be this coming Tuesday, next Tuesday. I actually start school on Tuesday. I don't remember what time. I think I can cover it before I have to go to class, because I think I start class at like 2 or 3. I can't remember, but I should be able to cover it. So expect me to cover it, expect me to do leaks and things like that. If I find any cool, useful little information, I will definitely do that for you guys. But yeah, the teaser trailer that we got today was kind of I don't even know who the killer could be. It's not really anything that I can think of. A lot of people were thinking it was that little character from I think it's Mario. I forget what his name is. I'm not much of a Mario guy, but that's kind of a funny little meme. But anyways, guys, I would like to hear what your questions and comments and concerns are about the developer stream, and I will see you in the next video. I plan on doing another one right after this one, so peace out.